necessarily, but I just wanted to ask or establish or ascertain whether such a meeting was held where these issues could be raised before you went public on the 6th of July.
You're talking about the issues that are raised in public.
Yes.
Definitely those issues were not for the POC.
Why?
Maybe I should share the agenda item for the POC, then it would be easier for you to understand what does a POC discuss and what does a National Crime Combating Forum discuss and what other different forums we have in the police, what is it that they discuss? These which I spoke about on the 6th of July were matters of strictly within intelligence space, if I can use that word, but were matters that were affecting the work of the PKTT. A PKTT only working in KZN. And the only person that will know about the works of the PKTT other than Gerald Kumalo will be the National Commissioner. And the rest of the other people, you bring a provincial commissioner of Northern Cape, of Western Cape, and you bring the PKTT into the agenda item of the meeting that these provincial commissioners are attending. It doesn't concern them much, the issues of PKTT. So those activities that we ended up talking about on the 6th of July are experiences and things that were picked up during the investigations that were conducted at the counterintelligence operation that was running in Gauteng. And subsequent to the letter of the disbandment of the team that was signed on the 31st of December.
Senior Counsel, I have a request from the members that you should speak closer to the microphone.
Oh, it was on. Can you hear me now? Sure. Sorry. Maybe I lost my voice this morning.
The members are the ones who must indicate to me if they hear you.
Thank you. So General, perhaps it's then appropriate to move to the ministerial directive of the 31st of December 2024. Now, just before we get there, just so that we can get the chronology out of the way, up until that last interministerial committee meeting in, what was it now, September, November of 2023, the minister then would have been Minister Bheki Cele. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Would you say that he was a supporter of the PKTT?
The Minister of Police, together with the other ministers that were assigned by the President, they were quite satisfied with the work that the team was doing. I wouldn't say he was a supporter. This is no football claim. This is the police work.
Yeah. And then in 2024, we have the general elections, and subsequent to that, we have the formation of the GNU, and we have the appointment of a new minister, Minister Senzo Mchunu. What was your response, if any, when you heard that he had been appointed as the Minister of Police?
Did not respond to anything. I took note.
Do you or did you know him at the time of his appointment?
Yeah, well, besides knowing the minister as the former premier of the province where I come from, but I had personally met him in his own house prior, I would say, few weeks before his appointment to the police. I was privileged to meet with him in his own house.
What was the occasion of that meeting?
It was a meeting arranged by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. He personally wanted to introduce me to the Minister of Water Affairs So I drove with him into his house. And we met, we drank coffee, and then we got to know each other. That was that.
So, but this is, when you talk about the chief of staff, this is
Mr. Nkabinde.
Mr. Nkabinde, who subsequently was appointed chief of staff when
That's correct.
Mr. Mchunu was appointed. So,
Yeah.
so at the time, Nkabinde wasn't yet the chief of staff.
Yeah, well, I was unemployed at the time.
Was he not employed? Was he unemployed?
Unemployed. Not employed, unemployed. See.
So, and you obviously knew him, Mr. Nkabinde.
Yes, I did.
How did you know him? What was your relationship with him?
I got to know Mr. Nkabinde because he was working at IPIT and he was close to the one investigator within IPIT, Mr. Mahlangu, who was working with him at the time, the late Mr. Mahlangu, who was a brother to a colleague of mine who was working in the police, was a brigadier in the police. So I then eventually got to know Nkabinde through him, and then we became close on Nkabinde as well.
And Nkabinde, did he do any service in the police?
Nkabinde is a former policeman. He left the South African Police Service as a junior member as an investigator and was recruited by IPIT, and he worked at IPIT for many years, and then he left IPIT and he was unemployed after that.
What was his rank in SAPS when he was at SAPS?
I'm not sure exactly, but he was holding a junior rank. I think he was an uncommissioned officer, perhaps between the rank of sergeant and a warrant officer. But I'm speaking under correction. I'm sure if he's invited, he'll be able to give his profile. But he was one of the junior members when he left the service.
And what was the reason that he left SAPS?
I think it was greener pastures to go to IPIT. It was a higher position that he applied for.
So he became an investigator at IPIT. Who headed IPIT at the time?
Mr. Robert McBride was the boss of IPIT at the time.
And what would have been the reason why Mr. Nkabinde left IPIT? Did he leave IPIT? Was he dismissed? What was his reason for leaving?
Honorable Chair and members, I wouldn't necessarily know the details. Perhaps he will elaborate on that. I can only speak about what he told me. Of course, it was not under oath. He was talking to me as a person that was close to. His words to me was that he couldn't stand the wrong that is happening at IPIT. Between his boss, Mr. Robert McBride, together with a famous Paul O'Sullivan, and the current head of adhoc investigation, Advocate Sissoko. He was just not happy with how they were doing business at IPIT at the time.
So he resigned, it seems, according to you, out of frustration.
What I know is that there were issues that he was resigning and they were charging him departmentally. So there was quite a fight between him and management of IPIT at the time.
And in particular, did you mention a fight between him and McBride and Paul O'Sullivan?
Well, I know of Paul O'Sullivan because he was very vocal in the media against Nkabinde. So I don't know about Mr. McBride exactly what was the issue because, well, I never spoke to him. Like I'm saying, I'm taking from what Nkabinde was telling me. Whether is that the fact or not, I do not know. If he comes here and come and explain, and Mr. McBride come and explain, perhaps Mr. Sissoko, Advocate Sissoko comes and explain, they might shed light as to what was the reason and how did they part ways with Nkabinde. But what I know is that there was trouble there that involved him and eventually left him.
And after he left IPIT, was he unemployed for a period or did you assist him in finding another job?
Yeah, well, he was unemployed at the time, so he was just engaging on his own. I couldn't get him a job. I'm a civil servant, so I couldn't afford to, I did not have contacts to help him get a job. But I know that he was unemployed. I just cannot remember the duration, but he was unemployed for some time up until he received that phone call from the minister to appoint him as the chief of staff, where he shared with me as well.
Now, before his appointment there, you were close friends, did you say?
Well, he was a person that I was acquainted to. I was talking to him more often. He will share a lot of things, especially with regard to the work he was doing at IPIT. So I ended up knowing more about those things. But in terms of his private life, you know, what he does, I know he goes to church. Which church he goes to, I don't know. So I'm not that close to him to get to know those other private part of him. But in terms of the professional side of things, I got to know him. I said I knew him because of his colleague, Mr. Mahlangu, who was working with him. So the relationship between me and him was more of a colleague relationship we had.
Okay. And the meeting that he arranged for you to meet with then Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, how did that come about? Did you did you know that Kabinde has a relationship, or what was his relationship with Minister Mchunu, then Minister of Water and Sanitation?
Honorable Chair and members, the Senior Counsel is asking me some of the things that he's asking are not necessarily in my statement, but I will talk to it because I took an oath, although they are not here, but they can be investigated and proven to be correct. Honorable Chair and members, what the SC is asking me about what Mr. Nkabinde told me about how he got to know the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu. Of course, it's something I'm going to present here, which I still need to establish myself the facts of what he had told me, which I have not finalized it yet. I'm still part of establishing the facts. But the fact is, he and Mr. McBride had flown, they took a flight from Gauteng, and they landed in Durban, and they traveled from Durban to Mbange at the minister's residence. And they went to meet the minister to go and tell him about the criminal investigation that the two of them were busy with at IPIT. And it will appear that at the time that the minister might have been implicated on that case. But the two of them had somehow have some working arrangement with the minister. That's what brought the three of them close to each other. That's how the relationship came about. Well, I didn't believe much of what he told me. He mentioned that, and of course I asked, I said, but what type of a case, what is this that we're busy with? And he said there was a death of someone in KZN, and the minister at the time was accused to have interfered with the destruction of an evidence, a crucial evidence that was there. And that led into, because there was a police officers, bodyguards that were involved, that were working with the minister at that time when he was a premier. That led into the involvement of IPIT, because IPIT will ordinarily investigate cases that involve police. So that's how IPIT came involved in that case, because there was a complaint of the police involvement on the wrong. So in their investigation, it led into some degree an act that the premier at the time have done wrong. That what made them to be close to each other. But as to the reason why they never arrested the premier at the time, I don't have the details of it. As I say, it's part of the things that I'm still making inquiries on, because he had not given me the case number at the time when he was telling me that. He just mentioned that that's how they got to know each other. The relationship started from there. To my surprise is that there is a one former chief of staff of the police, of the Minister of Police at the time, who also confirmed the same thing to me recently, not a few weeks ago. He said that Mr. Nkabinde shared the same thing with him. So that made me realize it means the relationship between him and the minister was formed out of an investigation that Nkabinde was doing. That's how they got to know each other. Because at the time, Nkabinde was not a politician, although of late I see him wearing political party t-shirts, but he was not a politician at the time.
And was it at the time that Minister Mchunu was the Minister of Water and Sanitation, or was it at the time that he was the Premier? We know he was the Premier of KZN.
Are you talking about when they got to know each other?
Yeah, this other incident. I think earlier you mentioned the word Premier.
No, I'm saying that the incident
Yes.
allegedly happened at the time when the minister was a premier. But I think the time when Mr. Nkabinde, together with Mr. Robert Mkhwanazi, according to Nkabinde's words, not mine, when they went to meet with the minister, he was no longer a premier at the time. So I do not know where he was a minister of water or was minister of public service, but he was no longer a premier when they met with him. So that's how the relationship started, the two of them. Otherwise, the minister did not know Nkabinde, and Nkabinde didn't know the minister, but their relationship started on the day.
So when this phone call happened between you and Nkabinde, was Nkabinde unemployed?
Which phone call, sir?
To set up this meeting with the minister who was then Minister of Water and Sanitation, where you had coffee with the minister. You were invited to his house.
Yeah, he was unemployed, yes. Nkabinde, when he took me to the minister.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nkabinde was not working.
So was that call coming from him, or was that a request that you made of him to go and meet with the minister?
No, it's Nkabinde that wanted me, since I'm a provincial commissioner in the province and he knows the minister. So he wanted, after he told me how they got to know each other, they're very close, that he wanted to demonstrate to me that they are indeed close. So I drove with him, and I didn't have a problem in getting to the minister. So that's how I got to meet the minister.
And what business did you have to discuss with the minister in your capacity as the provincial commissioner?
No, nothing. It was just get to know the minister. I'm here. I'm a provincial commissioner here. I know that you're close to Nkabinde. He told me that you are close to each other. That's why we're here today. So other than that, there was nothing else. We just sat there and we talked general, and from there we left.
What was your impression of the minister at the time?
Well, I was convinced that the two of them know each other very well, him and Nkabinde. And then, because Nkabinde told me that they are close, I had to get a confirmation on the day that indeed they are close. So that's why when the minister phoned him, allegedly, when he called him to ask him to be his chief of staff, Nkabinde phoned me and he asked me, what does chief of staff do? Because he had no clue what's the chief of staff.
When did Nkabinde tell you that he was the chief of staff or was going to be appointed chief of staff?
Yeah, he said the minister wants him to be a chief of staff. He wants to appoint him as a chief of staff, and he had no clue what is a chief of staff.
And was that before the minister was appointed minister of?
Before he was sworn in.
Before he was sworn in.
That's correct.
So how long before the minister was sworn in as Minister of Police did Nkabinde tell you that Minister Mchunu was going to be appointed?
Yeah, no, I will not remember the date. But I think it was before the official announcement was made, because it was in the evening when he phoned me.
What was your reaction?
The first was the chief of staff does administration, and I believe you're a policeman. I don't know whether you're going to deal with administration things on one side. On the other side, whether you know how to give advices on strategic issues of departments. At the time, I knew the minister was working in water affairs. And I asked him, so if you're going to give advice on ministers on issues of water affairs, I don't know what you know about that business and so forth. So then it came out later that actually he was not going to Home Affairs, was coming to the police.
So when the announcement was made that Senzo Mchunu was going to be appointed Minister of Police, you were not surprised?
Yeah, well, I'm never surprised on any appointment. So it didn't bother me. It's the president that decides, so there's no expectation, so therefore there's no surprise.
Chairperson, Honourable Chairperson, may we have a short comfort break? And also the other issue I asked you offline, because we scheduled to have a meeting with General Sabia at 6. So one of us will have to attend to that meeting.
I want us to push until very late. No, it's just on a lighter note. I grant you the comfort break.
Thank you. Thank you.